Good evening and welcome to this Prior Lake City Council meeting of Tuesday, May 12th. If you would please stand, join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Well, first off, awfully impressive to see the council chambers so incredibly full. So that's awesome and welcome. First item on our agenda this evening is the public forum. The public forum is that opportunity for anyone in our midst to come before council and let us, the council, know anything that may be on your mind. The only exceptions to that is that you may not bring items that are either scheduled for a public hearing or for which a public hearing has already been held. But with that lone exception, is there anyone that would like to come before us this evening and be heard? Seeing none, let us go ahead and move along to item 3 on our agenda, council, and that is the approval of the agenda itself. If no modifications are requested, Manager Waddell, yes, please.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor and councilors, members of the audience. We're going to ask that item 5E be pulled off of consent and added to item 10 on tonight's agenda for separate consideration.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Manager Waddell. Council, again, I bring us back to item 3 on the agenda, and that is the approval of the agenda itself. With that item,
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda with the changes.
Second.
Motion by Councilmember Lake, second by Councilmember Hellier to approve the agenda. With that modification, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, that motion carries. Bringing us to item 4, which is the approval of the April 28th, 2026 council meeting minutes. Again, council, if no modifications, I would accept a motion to approve as submitted.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Councilmember Braid, second by Councilmember Churchill. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, that motion carries. Bring us to the consent agenda this evening. I'd like to go ahead and hand that over to Manager Waddell to introduce consent agenda and those items before us this evening. Manager Waddell.
Thank you, Mayor and councilors and members of the audience. So the consent agenda is for those items that are considered routine or non-controversial. They're placed all together on the consent agenda. So unless the mayor or a council member asks for one of these items to be removed for separate consideration, they're all approved together under a single motion, second, and a vote. If an item were to be removed for separate consideration, just like the one we mentioned earlier when we were approving the agenda, it would be placed under item 10 on tonight's agenda. So tonight we have the following items on consent. We have the approval of the claims listing, approval of the preliminary first quarter 2026 financial reports, a resolution approving the 2026-2027 liquor license renewals, resolution receiving the quote and awarding a contract to replace the well at well number 5, the Motor Control Center, City Project 2026-20, resolution approving a combined preliminary and final plat and development agreement for a subdivision known as Prior Lake Revival, authorization for the city manager to identify a real estate agent to assist with the disposal of city-owned property at 13995 Hidden Lake Trail Northeast, resolution approving a part-time employee participation in the Minnesota Public Employees Retirement Association, and that is it.
Wonderful. Thank you, Manager Waddell. Council, with that, aside from item 5E that's already been removed, are there any other items to be removed? If none, I would accept a motion to approve the consent agenda as submitted.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made by Councilmember Lake to approve, second by Councilmember Braid on the consent agenda. All those approved say aye.
Aye.
Aye, that motion carries. Bring us to item 6A this evening, which is recognition of the 2026 Prior Lake Community Academy graduates. And for that, we have Manager Waddell.
Yep.
Wonderful. Manager Waddell.
Thank you, Mayor and council members and members of the audience. We are so excited to have with us this evening the very first inaugural class of our Community Academy graduates. So today we're celebrating the completion of the Prior Lake Community Academy, a program that provides residents with valuable insights into city operations and the dedicated work that keeps Prior Lake thriving. Over the past 6 weeks, residents engaged with city staff, learning about public safety, parks, infrastructure, planning, and finance, demonstrating a deep commitment to their community. So this academy is more than just an educational experience. It fosters connection. By engaging with city leaders, these residents took an important step toward active involvement in Prior Lake's future. Their dedication strengthens the city, whether through volunteering, potentially serving on future boards, or maybe even pursuing public office someday. So Prior Lake's success relies on passionate and informed residents, and their curiosity and commitment are appreciated. Their involvement ensures that the city remains a wonderful place to live and grow. So we want to thank these graduates here this evening, and I know we've got two in particular that want to come up and say a few words about their experience as part of this, so I would ask them both to come forward now. At this time, if you want to go to the side lectern, there's a button at the base of the microphone if you want to press it so that it turns green if it's not green already, and introduce yourselves, and we're anxious to hear your comments.
Hello, my name is Adam Fowler. I'm a business owner here in Prior Lake. I've lived here for most of my life, and I was lucky enough to be involved in the inaugural class of the Prior Lake Community Academy. And, you know, I just wanted to start off by thanking the city staff that all worked very diligently to make this type of thing happen. It's, you know, something that I think a lot of cities try very hard to do and may or may not always hit the mark. And, you know, they might look at us and say, oh, it's easy for them to do. They're a small city. But we certainly make it easier than it looks with our vast array of very competent staff, you know, like Jeffrey here, who put this whole thing together and also runs a lot of the communication for the city. It's been very great to see how much he's done for the city in the past couple of years. And, you know, I'd say one of the main takeaways that we were fortunate to get from this whole experience, in addition to tons of wonderful inside knowledge from all the people that work for our city, is this idea that local government, in particular at the city of Prior Lake, is extremely accessible in a way that I think a lot of people that live here aren't necessarily aware. And it's very great that this community academy was here to really not just tell us about that, but to show us that by bringing us to each of these individual people. And, you know, showing that, you know, even with the size of our city, there's still a great opportunity for this individual interaction with all the counselors and with the city staff. You know, nobody on the community academy, you know, donated $1 million to Mayor Briggs' campaign, or nobody took City Manager Waddell out for a $500 steak dinner. You know, not saying I don't want to, but I'm just saying we didn't have to, and that's a really incredible thing. So, with that, I would like to hand it over to Lori Hartman, who's going to give us a little bit more detail about the types of things that we learned at the Community Academy.
Thank you so much for your comments, Mr. Fowler.
Good evening, members of the council and members of the audience also. My name is Lori Hartman, and I was one of the participants in the inaugural Community Academy. I can tell you it was a great experience, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about what we as a team also experienced over the course of the last 6 weeks. First of all, we'd like to thank you for the opportunity to have done this experience. We made a few new friends, but we certainly learned a whole lot more about city government as a whole as well. During our 6 weeks together, all department leaders came well prepared, and they shared lots of information that was new to all of us. We had the opportunity to learn more about what happens behind the scenes and the role each department plays in serving and fulfilling the needs of the city. Every staff member with whom we interacted was proud of their work. They could answer any question that we posed to them, and they certainly left with a very positive impression of our city. Our classes focused on all aspects of city government. And while every department plays a role in serving residents, several class sessions certainly left a long-lasting impression with all of our members. Here are the most memorable takeaways from the Community Academy. Takeaway number 1, the Public Works Department has a huge responsibility in maintaining our streets, parks, and all city vehicles, along with sewer and water services. Most of us would probably not choose to do their job. Department employees are the unsung heroes of the city, often working all hours of the day and night to keep city services operational and our community looking fantastic. Here's our key takeaway. Public Works employees keep services functioning 24/7. Our city is well maintained. Our collective park systems is among the most beautiful in the Twin Cities area. It was truly amazing that they do all what they do with a staff of 41 people. Second takeaway, the police department. Police Chief Liam Duggan and members of the Prior Lake Police Department shared a tremendous amount of information about how policing has changed in recent years. Our class learned that the Prior Lake is among the first communities in the Twin Cities area to use DFR, drones as first responders. They can be deployed within minutes, and they certainly protect our community along with the police officers themselves. Our takeaway, investment in technology and ongoing staff training provides for greater protection of both police officers and the community as a whole. Number 3, the fire department. Wow. Chief Steinhaus and his firefighters pulled out all the stops by bringing the North Memorial Air Ambulance helicopter to the Fish Lake fire station. And yes, there were many gawkers who stopped on County Road 21, and we held up traffic for quite a long time in having them land right there. Fire department members also established a scheduled burn for our behalf as we looked at it, and both the air ambulance and the fire department, they were both called away to other emergencies calls while we were at the meeting. Our takeaway on the fire department can be summed up in four words, 60 seconds and 90 seconds. When you walk through the fire department and you see the big rigs, you also see the firefighter boots parked right next to it on the floor next to the rig. Suits and helmets for each member working during the shift are already in the rig. When a call comes in, boots are put on. Fire department employees know exactly where their seat is and what they'll be doing on the call. When it comes in, their goal is to be on the truck and out the door in 60 seconds and 90 seconds, depending upon if it comes in during the day or during the night. We conclude from this class these four offerings. Our group highly recommends continuation of the Community Academy. Thank you for the opportunity to learn so much about our city, and we extend our sincere appreciation to the department leaders, not only for sharing their knowledge and expertise with us, but also for their dedication in making Prior Lake a great place to live. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Hartman, for your comments as well. Manager Waddell.
Yeah, so thank you, Mayor. And I would like to thank this group of volunteers that chose to participate in this program. It was a big commitment. When we asked people to sign up, we said, you're locking yourselves in for 6 weeks, once a week for 2 hours. And so it's 12 hours plus time commitment that they all volunteered to do and sit and learn about the things we have going on here at the city. But I also want to thank all of our department heads that took time out of their schedules to prepare presentations and to put experiences together that demonstrate everything that they do in their department. So it was a lot of thanks to go around for everybody. But we do have a little certificate of appreciation that we want to offer to all of our participants. I'm going to ask the mayor if you want to step down to the side, and then as I read your names, if you want to come up, get your certificate from the mayor, and then stay up front here, and then we're going to take a brief pause once everybody is up here, and we'll take a picture with the city council. So first, Irene Abrahamson. And we have Christopher Bartik, Lori Bartik, David DeCesar, Tracy DeCesar, Luke Finger, Laney Finger, Adam Fowler, Mary Hammond. Oh, okay, okay. We're getting backlogged. Okay. That's Lori Hartman. I'm going to call everyone else up. So Lois Koken, John Lurquin, Dave Reinhold. I think that's it. So do you want to put us into a... So we're going to take a recess.
Put the meeting into recess at 7:17 p.m.
So stay up here. We're gonna take
Like to call the meeting back to order at 7:18. That now brings us to item 6B, which is a proclamation declaring May ALS Awareness Month.
Thank you, Mayor and councilors and members of the audience. This is a proclamation that the city has done in years past, proclaiming the month of May as ALS Awareness Month in the city of Prior Lake. So ALS is often known as Lou Gehrig's disease. It's a progressive and terminal disease that affects mobility, speech, and ultimately the ability to breathe. It impacts not only the person diagnosed, but entire families and communities. The ALS Association works in communities across our state to provide care services, equipment, advocacy, and research support. ALS Awareness Month provides the following benefits. It helps educate the public about the realities of this devastating disease. It honors individuals and families living with ALS, and it recognizes caregivers and healthcare providers and demonstrates our city's commitment to supporting those impacted. So tonight we have the following proclamation declaring the month of May 2026 as ALS Awareness Month in Prior Lake. So whereas the exact causes of ALS are unknown and there is no known cure for ALS, And whereas people who have served in the military are more likely to develop ALS and die from the disease than those with no history of military service. And whereas securing access to new therapies, durable medical equipment, and communication technologies is of vital importance to people living with ALS. And whereas clinical trials play a pivotal role in evaluating new treatments, enhancing quality of life, and fostering assistive technologies for those living with ALS. And whereas the ALS Association is the largest philanthropic funder of ALS research globally and has committed more than $154 million to support more than 550 projects across the United States and 18 other countries. And whereas the ALS Association is committed to make ALS livable and cure it for everyone, everywhere. And whereas ALS Awareness Month provides an opportunity to increase public awareness of the dire circumstances of people living with ALS, acknowledge the terrible impact this disease has on those individuals and their families, and to support research to eradicate this disease. So now, therefore, the mayor of Prior Lake is going to proclaim the month of May as ALS Awareness Month in the city of Prior Lake.
So proclaimed.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bringing us to item 6C this evening, which is proclamation declaring Youth Appreciation Week.
Thank you, Mayor, and members of the council and members of the audience. I think that's why we have a large group of folks joining us this evening. So tonight we are going to be proclaiming the second week of May of 2026 as Youth Appreciation Week in the city of Prior Lake. The Prior Lake City Council has supported the Prior Lake Savage Optimist Club for the past 14 years and proclaimed a week as Youth Appreciation Week. Optimist International has developed and promoted this program since 1954. So we're going to have the mayor step down to the side, and if there's anyone in the audience that would like to stand up and join the mayor while he reads the proclamation, please come on up and join him.
Come on. There's a bunch of you. What an awesome backdrop. And actually, the number of participants at the high school, what is the number of?
300 plus.
300. That's. So I'm going to go, this is just fantastic. You know, one of the things that has always amazed me, again, something I didn't learn until I became mayor, is just how much volunteerism takes place in the community. The amount of the hours, the individuals, it's off the charts how much goes into building a community that is volunteerism. And when we get to recognize our youth for your participation in the community in which you live, so it is my honor to this evening declare the second week of May 2026 as Youth Appreciation Week in Prior Lake, whereas the clear majority of youth are concerned, knowledgeable, and contributing partners within the Prior Lake community. And whereas the accomplishments and contributions of these young citizens deserves the recognition and praise of the community, and whereas Optimist International has since 1954 developed and promoted a program entitled Youth Appreciation Week, and whereas Prior Lake, Minnesota supports our local businesses that create jobs, boost our local economy, and preserve our community. Whereas the city of Prior Lake desires to formally join the Optimists in expressing appreciation for those young citizens who, through their various efforts, help to make Prior Lake residents proud of our community. Now, therefore, I, Kurt Briggs, a mayor of the city of Prior Lake, on behalf of the city council, proclaim the second week of May as Youth Appreciation Week in the city of Prior Lake. Actually, if I could, again, we've got the microphone here. Is there anyone that would like to come forward and make a comment relative to your volunteer experience? I know it's nothing that was planned for, but
I promised them they didn't have to speak.
well, they again, he didn't break his promise. Well,
Well, I can say.
how about you?
I can do this.
I'm past president of the Prior Lake Optimist Club, and with me is Anita Drentlaw, who's the current president of the Prior Lake Savage Optimist Club. And we have with us tonight a number of examples of our Junior Optimist Club. Raise your hand if you're in the Senior High Junior Optimist Club. There's a few of you there, I know. They have about, yeah, so we can all see. Thank you, Dan. At any rate, there's 300 plus kids in that Senior High Junior Optimist Club, and they perform several thousand hours of community service every year. It's amazing what these kids can do. We also have programs in the middle schools and in one elementary. And also with us tonight are some kids from other schools, the elementary schools, and St. Michael's are going to be honored tomorrow at a luncheon at Fong's. And we have about 100 kids of all grades coming to be honored for their contribution to their school and to their community and the things that they do to make their school a better place. So you have a wonderful example here of some fantastic kids. So again, give them a hand.
Thank you so much.
I'll put the meeting into recess at 7:26 p.m.
I'd like to call the meeting back in order at 7:28 p.m. Bringing us to old business, and that is item 8A, Council accept final progress report for the 2023-2026 strategic plan. And I can see, Manager Waddell.
Thank you, Mayor and council members, members of the audience. Assistant City Manager Lori Olson is helping me this evening run through the PowerPoint as well. So tonight's item is on our city strategic plan. So 4 years ago, the city council and staff went through a very rigorous process for creating our strategic plan. It involved a day-long retreat. Staff had worked well before that and after that, looking through their departments. And the whole point of the strategic plan is to make sure that we as city staff and the council are working together and we're focused on the right things that we want to get accomplished over a given time period. And so tonight we're going to go through what we, as the city decided was going to be in our strategic plan, and then how did we fulfill the obligations that we had outlined in that strategic plan. So this first slide just demonstrates what the vision is for the city. Our Prior Lake is a vibrant and welcoming lifelong community offering a high quality of life and a small town feel. And that's something that influences everything we do within the plan. So the strategic plan, that process, there was a strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats analysis, an environmental scan. We did a community-wide survey. We had focus groups. We did some internal surveys of our own staff, and then we finished up with a day-long retreat with the city council. So that's the process. That was kind of the timeline. We did that survey back in June of 2022. The retreat was in August. council approved this plan in February of 2023, and then since then we've been providing some ongoing progress reports, and tonight we're asking council to approve the final report as we prepare for a new strategic plan in 2027. So the 5 main components that went into that strategic plan were financial sustainability. Our goal is always to be a fiscally responsible community. We want to have well-managed growth. That growth needs to meet our community's needs, but we've also been very careful about making sure that growth pays for itself. We want to have stable and sustainable infrastructure. So what does that mean? It's having roads and sewers and utilities and parks that are reliable, they're in good condition, and we're able to financially sustain them. Public safety, obviously having a well-rounded police department and fire department and providing a safe community is of utmost importance and is one of our #1 tasks as a city to provide that service. And then lastly, we did focus on high-quality parks and trails. As a city that has 49 parks and 80-plus miles of trails, we have a lot, and that's what makes Prior Lake a great place to live. We have the lakes, we have the green space, we have the parks, and that's why people choose to live here, and so that was a focus of our strategic plan. So what were some of the major significant achievements? We received our first ever AAA bond rating in 2023. That is when we go to the market as a city to sell bonds and issue debt. Groups like Standard & Poor's will review the financial strength of the city, look at our debt load, look at our budgets, look at our fund reserves, how are we managing ourselves, and for the first time ever in 2023, we received a AAA bond rating, which is the highest rating you can possibly get. Why is that important? When we do sell bonds, the interest rate that we get on those bonds is affected by our bond rating. So we get a much lower interest rate because of our high bond rating, which benefits everybody in the community from a lower cost. We've added over 20,000 square feet of new commercial to our downtown. We were able to accomplish putting together an orderly annexation agreement with Spring Lake Township. We implemented our full-time fire department. We went through a big police department staffing study. We completed a utility infrastructure needs analysis to look at all of our infrastructure like utility pipes, water mains, lift stations, water treatment plants, and just making sure that we are anticipating future needs and replacements and budgeting for all those things accordingly. And then we also did complete a Parks and Trail Master Plan, and we did put forth a funding referendum that ultimately did not pass, but that was part of the process in the strategic plan that we said we would look at that. So going through each of these a little bit more in depth, on the financial sustainability side, as I already noted, we did receive that AAA bond rating, and we've had it ever since 2023. So we achieved that very quickly because our strategic plan only came out a few months before that. We've updated our comprehensive financial management plan. So that is a very complicated financial model that we are now using, that we plug in everything that goes into the city budget. We're looking at our facilities long-term, our utilities, our staffing, all of that gets plugged into this financial model, and we look at how we're going to fund the city and what that means for future tax levy impacts, and that model was completed during this time frame. We also look at our infrastructure. We want to make sure that we set targets for levels of service with our infrastructure. For example, I'll use streets. Our goal is to have a overall condition index, or an OCI, of 70 on all of our city streets. So how do we make sure that when we're looking at our streets, when they're ranked from 0 to 100 and we want to be at 70, that means we need to be doing so many miles of street reconstruction every year, and that's something we've increased, I would say, dramatically over the last 5 to 10 years, from doing maybe 1 or 2 miles a year to, we did 12 miles of mill and overlay just a year or so ago. So we've gotten ourselves on a more sustainable path in keeping up with our infrastructure. Next slide. When we talk about growth, the downtown was mentioned a little bit earlier. Adding 20,000 square feet of downtown commercial by 2026 was identified in our plan, and that was completed. We've added a number of new businesses over the last 4 years. Chula's, the new apartment project next door to City Hall, and another Revival. We've got Revival 2 was on the agenda this evening, so we've been successful in building up that commercial and that vitality in our downtown. And one of the things that was identified in that strategic plan also was trying to not only not lose any of our commercial and industrial property, but look for opportunities to increase it. The city council has been very adamant about protecting our commercial and industrial properties, because we do get requests from developers that say, well, this area is guided for commercial, but could we put townhomes there? And as a city that has 93% of our tax base is residential and 7% as commercial and industrial, we're always looking to protect it and build it rather than lose any of that. And that's been something that we've held firm on over this time period. Next slide. Yep. We talked a little bit about this already. So stable and sustainable infrastructure, making sure we're staying on track with our streets, understanding our utility needs, and then even looking at our public works facility. That was something that was identified as we've grown as a city. Our public works building was built in the early 1990s, and that's something we're anticipating is going to need to be expanded here in 2033 to facilitate room for, it's more snow plows, it's more lawnmowers, it's just the things that go along with having more miles of streets, more parks to maintain, more squad cars to service. We're going to need a bigger space there, and we're planning for that accordingly. Public safety, we had identified this in the strategic plan, and we implemented it in 2023. Going to full-time fire was a huge deal. We had been paid on call up until this point, which meant that we had volunteers with pagers that would come in after their pagers went off to come to the fire station to respond to a call. That model just was proving to not be sustainable in the long term. Response times, as you can imagine, aren't as effective. Finding people that wanted to volunteer and be a paid on-call firefighter and take time away from their families on weekends and evenings for training and fire calls was getting more complicated. And then you factor in, we are not only the fire department for Prior Lake, but we also cover Spring Lake Township and the city of Credit River. That's 74 square miles of coverage area. So the move to full-time fire was very much needed, and it has proven to be a huge success. Our response times have been cut in half, and we're able to do some of these other things that we hadn't been doing, which was pre-planning for our industrial buildings, looking at what we would need to do if there was a fire at AK Pizza, or one of those bigger buildings where they have certain machinery, they have certain chemicals, they have other things in their facilities that we need to know of ahead of time before you send a firefighter in there to deal with the fire. So we've had the ability to do that. We also completed a police staffing review. That was a very thorough year-long process that looked at the operations of the current police department and our current staffing, and it did identify some needs from a staffing perspective, which through this year we've almost implemented all of that. I think we just talked tonight about maybe 2 more officers for next year, but other than that, we've added a sergeant, we've added record specialist, we've added officers. We've done a lot to get that police department, staffed to the level it needed to be based on our current needs. So high quality parks and trails, we did adopt the Parks Master Plan in 2023, but we had actually started on that back in 2018. It was a comprehensive review of the entire city park system. We looked at all of them, evaluated them with their current state of repairs, and identified that we have a huge need there. The master plan, I think, was identified a little over $120 million of potential needs if you were to address the entire park system all at once. So as a city, we did pursue a park referendum last fall. It did not pass, so now we are pivoting and we are starting to reevaluate our park system and determining what components need to be in each park. For example, almost all of our neighborhood parks are exactly the same. They all have a ball field and a picnic shelter and a basketball court, and so part of this is going to be looking at, do all these parks really need to have all these same amenities, or can some of these parks be open space or green space or other uses? So that piece of it is ongoing, but we did do a very deep dive look at our park system. Next. So that was it. I would like to thank council. I would like to thank our staff. If you look at the components of the plan, 80% of this that we had identified 4 years ago got accomplished. And the 20% that isn't accomplished, it's ongoing. It's not done, but we're making good progress on it. And that's because of the staff we have and the hard work they've done and the support of City Council to work through all of this. So we're very grateful for that. So I would open it up for any questions the council might have on this, but otherwise, just so you know, next spring we will be embarking on a new strategic plan. So we'll start this process all over again and put a new 4-year plan together, and that will start next spring.
Thank you so much, Manager Waddell. Council, any comments or questions? Aside from great work and, having us on that sustainable track on so many different areas. Public Works, of course, but also financially. And that AAA bond rating that really is the fruit of the labor here that really pays significant dividends to the city on into the future. So as an item of action, to accept? To accept. Council would entertain a motion to accept the strategic plan.
So moved.
Progress.
Second.
Motion by Councilmember Braid, second by Councilmember Churchill. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
That motion carries. That brings us to item 10 on our agenda, which is a removed consent agenda item, which council is a resolution approving a work order for fiber permit field inspections. Comcast Phase 1.
So I can just comment on what that is and explain maybe why it was pulled. So with the new fiber optic company coming to town, there's going to be a lot of inspection work that goes along with that. Their anticipated schedule is to cover the entire city and provide fiber optic services to every home in Prior Lake within a 2-year period. So that means there's a lot of work in the right-of-ways and front yards and directional drilling and digging up front. It can be intrusive, and there's a lot of inspection work to make sure that yards get restored appropriately and we're able to address calls and concerns from residents. And as a staff, we just don't have the bandwidth to add that on to what we're already doing. So what this item does is added a 50-cent per linear foot fee to the permit for any broadband company that would want to do work in the city. In this in particular case, it's Comcast. And that fee then allows us to hire a consultant to come in and provide that inspection and communication service on behalf of the city. We do have one council member that works for Comcast, so that's why he had asked that this item be removed so that he could abstain from voting on this item. So.
With that, Council, I would entertain a motion to approve a work order.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion by Councilor Lake and a second by Councilmember Churchill. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Abstain? With one. Council, that brings us to our councilmember liaison updates. And if I could, look to Councilmember Hellier to go ahead and lead us off.
Thank you, Mayor. Members of the council, last Monday I attended the Planning Commission meeting, and on that Wednesday attended the Chamber Board meeting, and then on Friday, Councilor Churchill and I had our agenda review. That's it.
Thank you so much, Councilmember Hellier. Councilmember Lake.
Thank you, Mayor, members of the council. On 8th of May, I attended the Scale General Membership Meeting. And then on the 8th, I also attended my agenda review with Mayor Briggs. On the 11th, I attended the EDA meeting. And then on today, I was able to be part of the Ponds Park ribbon cutting, which was exciting, as I know we have a lot of children in the community, and my children use that park, so that was good. Appreciate that. And that concludes my report. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Lake. Councilmember Churchill.
Thank you, Mayor. On April 29th, I had my MVTA board meeting. On May 4th, I had Mobility Management Board meeting. On the 7th, we had the Scott County Prior Lake Quarterly meeting. On the 8th, I had my scale general meeting and my agenda review.
Thank you so much, Councilor Churchill. Councilmember Braid.
Mayor, members of the council, I'd like to start off by recognizing that this is National Police Week also. I know we had a lot of presentations tonight, but just wanted to recognize all the hard work that our police departments do to keep us a safe, strong community. On May 11th, I attended the EDA meeting, and on May 11th, I also attended my agenda review, and that concludes my report.
Thank you so much, Councilmember Braid. For my liaison update on May 7th, Manager Waddell and Councilmember Churchill and I had the Scott County Quarterly meeting. On the 8th, had the Scale General meeting. And then most recently, Monday, had the Regional Council of Mayors meeting. That concludes my liaison update. Manager Waddell, anything you'd like to add this evening?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor and council members and members of the audience. We have a lot of fun stuff coming up in the city this month, now that summer has arrived. So this Friday, May 15th, our first Music in the Park at Lakefront Park at 6 p.m. Then next week on May 19th, we have our annual Something About a Truck event at Public Works from 4 to 7, where kids can come out and crawl around on police squads and fire trucks and snow plows, and there's inflatables, and it's a really good time.
Horns connected, or?
We disconnect the horns.
Okay, disconnect the horns.
Thank God.
And then on May 30th, we have our annual bike rodeo at Hidden Oaks Middle School from 11 to 3. And I was also going to note that the council meeting for May 26th is being canceled just due to lack of items for that agenda.
Thank you so much, Manager Waddell. And with that, council, that final.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second?
Motion by Councilmember Braid, second by Councilmember Hellier to adjourn the meeting. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. The meeting is adjourned at 7:48.